This screen right here, because first of all, I think it's a badass image. Second of all, this is what a travel trip can look like for you guys. And real quick, Summer, before we talk about this, how many appointments or how many of your sales have been virtual versus in person?
I am really just in home. I do virtual sometimes, say, I'm in this certain county for a couple of days and the client's out of town or something, then I'll just, immediately be like, okay, let's do it over the phone in that moment. Or say they have a policy already and I already know I can save them some money right then and there, so I'll jump on that. But on average, probably I've only done, I would say, like 7 phone sales. The rest are all in home.
Love it. And we're going to touch base on why in-home was your approach and why you think it was successful. But I wanted to touch base on this schedule, guys. So Summer traveled up to Wisconsin last week to be around her team and spend some time around Evan and the crew. And she still found time to book a good amount of appointments. And I wanted to highlight this because everyone's like, man, I need 15 appointments, or, I need 20 appointments. Summer didn't book 15 appointments either of her dial days, but she still was able to help 11 families in a week because she had still a significant amount of appointments. 22 at-bats in a week is pretty freaking good. And so, Summer, when you traveled to Wisconsin, did you dial before you went to Wisconsin, or did you dial once you got to Wisconsin?
So my flight was at 5:30 a.m. So I got to the office around, I would say 10, and then I just immediately started dialing.
Love
on that.
It.
Yeah, on that. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. So I wanted to show you guys that because I think that activity rules this business. And as long as you can put in a high amount, in fact, personally, I think that if you have 10 appointments in the next 2 days, you got a fair shot at helping families. Anything less than 10, you're hoping and wishing that someone says yes to what you're presenting to them. Once you hit that 10 appointments and above mark, I believe you have a great shot. You can walk out of some homes and still help people. And so I just think it was super important for you guys to visualize what Summer's schedule looked like last week. And I don't know if you guys noticed on there, but Tuesday she did a school project. How much time or energy did you have to put into your school project while you were in the middle of running business? You're muted right now.
Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. I didn't push that. Okay. I had been working on it. I stayed at Kiefer's house. She's on our team. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but I was at her house and I would work on it a little bit at night. But the semester's coming to an end, so all this homework just hit me in the face all of a sudden. So what I've been doing was working on that project at night, and then I had it due. So, working with my team. I think on Sunday we had a Zoom call right after church, jumped on that for a little bit, set everything up, got everything done that Sunday evening, and then was able to, get on. We had to present it on Tuesday. So I went into the office in Green Bay and, presented that project, then immediately went out in the field and worked from 11 to whenever.
See, that's what it's all about, guys, is being intentional with your schedule. You can have a full-time job or a full-time student, or you can have these different things in your life, but if you're intentional with your schedule, you can be effective at doing multiple things in a week. So I wanted to highlight that because that's really cool, and I thought that was unique, more or less, because a lot of people on here are full-time, Summer, and they still don't book 22 appointments in a week. And so I just wanted to put it in perspective that somebody who has focus on something else and focus on this can still be successful. So can you kind of just elaborate, Summer, because how many families did you protect last month?
42.
42 families. And you went to school.
Yes.
That's impressive. Everyone give a round of applause for my girl Summer, because I don't think I could ever do that. But with that being said, when out of those 42 families, can you kind of break down a percentage, or however you want to kind of break it down, with what type of leads that you were working last month to help you protect 42 families?
Yes. So I work 100% CRM leads. I was at first starting just doing the new internet leads and the instant internet leads, but now I started adding in some 1 month leads, and hopefully soon I can start getting some mail-in leads, because this can kind of be a lot sometimes. Just on dial days, sometimes I'm out on the phone until 7 o'clock at night, and now I get on the phone at 8 o'clock. So it's just about being disciplined, I think, and knowing that I'm going to get up every day and hit the phones, hit the field, and stay consistent on that. But I think just finding what has worked for me with my CRM leads, why I think I'm able to do so well on those new and instants that some people, struggle with. I think I was able to find a pitch that works specifically for me and just implement that every day. And then, like, if there is certain things, like, change it up to make it, flow right, to see the results that I had been seeing. I think a lot of people that reach out to me and they're like, I'm so bad on the phone, I can't succeed on the phone at all. I'm like, you need to find you a pitch, you need to stick to it, you need to work on it. Like, I think if you're struggling, definitely get with your upline and try to work on your pitch and see what you can fix to get the best results. But I think that's what's helped me overall, was just sticking to it. Even if there is dial days where, everyone's rude, nobody's picking up the phone, just knowing that you're going to stick to it and keep pushing and not get on a high, not get on a low. Like, if you book an appointment, don't be like, oh my God, yay. And then when, someone don't answer again, get a bad attitude, because then that is reflecting on the phone. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, you hit on the key thing is staying level-headed on dial days. So how do you, Summer, mentally stay strong from a dial day that could be from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.? Is there anything specific that you do, or is there anything, like, mentally that helps you keep pushing on those long dial days?
Yeah, I think I don't like stuff. When people are rude to me, I don't care. Like, it doesn't affect me. I'm like, you don't even know me. So, when somebody hangs up in the phone in my face, cusses me out, says whatever they say to me, it doesn't affect me in any type of way, because I'm usually just like, I don't know you, you know what I mean? And I'm just going to get back on. And I know there is nice people out there that are willing to speak to me. So I think just knowing in my mind that I'm going to continuously, get the results I do if I keep pushing instead of just quitting. That's what keeps me going until 7 o'clock at night, because I'm a very disciplined person as a whole anyway. I'm going to continue going until I reach it. That's just how I am. I think it's in my blood. So,
it's mindset is what it really is. And you're not confused, because I feel as if sometimes people get on the phones and they don't really know what their objective is. They just know that they need to dial the leads and book appointments. But when you do you give yourself like a goal, or do you give yourself like a minimum, like drop dead, I have to do this on a dial day, or I'm not stopping, or I'm not quitting dialing? Like, can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, I definitely do make sure that at the end of the day, I'm going to hit my 15. And even if I don't, I'm going to hit, 13. That's really usually my number one thing is 13, because I know that if I don't, I'm going to be struggling out there, especially if they're not like very secure appointments, that kind of thing. But if I do get less, I put in my mind, I'm going to door knock. That's my number one thing too. Like, if I don't have an appointment at this time, I'm going to go door knock someone. And at first, when I started, my mindset wasn't like that. I was like, I'm not door knocking. I'm not driving 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes to someone's house that doesn't even know I'm coming, that could not be home. That was just my mindset. But after getting the results I have from door knocks, it actually does work. So just knowing, each day on the phone, anything, I do stay disciplined on top of myself. I'm like that with my schoolwork. I've always been like that. So I think that does help. But I think also, if you do struggle with things like that, just getting with someone who can help you will help too.
So I love that you say that, because when you got into the business, you're like, no, I'm not going to door knock. And then you experienced door knocking, you got results from it. Now, in your 2 months, Summer, how many, if you had to guess, ballpark, how many doors do you think you've knocked on, if you had to take a guess? It's going from saying I'm not going to door knock to now 2 months later, you're like, I'll door knock all day?
Yeah. So usually at the end of I'll go through my appointments. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a stick to schedule type of person. Like if I have 30 minutes, an hour, I'm just going to go to the next house. I'm not going to wait for your appointment. And then once I'm through with those, then I'll just go door knock the rest of the day till, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever. But overall, I would say I've door knocked probably like 40 doors in that first month.
Yep. Love that. And so I wanted you to touch on that, because I'm not going to lie to you, Summer. We got a bunch of people, especially on this call, that all they do is sit at home or sit at an office and make dials. And they've proven that it can work. But at the same time, I know that the impact and how much experience and how much you can learn from the door knocking. So like, what would you say to a person that has not knocked on a door or are against going out in the field and getting that experience? What would you, I guess, your 1 or 2 tidbits be for somebody who's never done it before?
Right. So my advice to someone, who's never gone out in the field is just I think what works for me is just being myself. I'm a very interactive, outgoing person, and I don't like sitting at a desk. So I think it excites me. Like, honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of dial days. I way rather just go out in the field and interact with people all day. So I think my advice to people who maybe are scared to go in the field, it's literally so fun. I have so many stories with clients that are just the nicest people that still stay in contact with me, like invited me to their barbecue. Like, it's just getting to see how their lifestyle is. It just makes you realize. And I think just knowing that you can have a certain relationship with people and get the advice, stuff like that in your real life helps too. But obviously I love going in the field, and my advice to people who haven't gone is to just do it. And then call somebody if you have struggles. That's what I did. That's how I learned. As soon as, maybe I walked out, dang, I could have got that sale, I would just call Evan or Gabe and be like, this is what happened. Like, what can I do to better fix this? And I think that is a big tip too, is being able to speak to people. This business is very hard to do alone. It's very lonely. So talking to someone, building connection with someone on your team, even if it's not your upline, is the best advice I could give. And then just being able to be innovative and change something. If you're struggling with it, someone gives you advice, take it and run with it. Try to use it and see if it works.
I couldn't agree with you more, Summer. I think the biggest learning moment for any agent is right after the failure of not making the sell. Because one, you have to have humility to call your upline or your manager or somebody on the team and say, hey man, I didn't make this sale. What would you have done? That's humility, understanding that you're speaking on failure. But when you actually call your manager or your upline or anybody on the team that can help you, that is when you turn a loss into a lesson. And if you don't call after to figure out what you could have done better, now that's actually just a loss. You lost out on that shot. But if you make the 2 to 3 to 5 minute phone call on what you could have done better, now you take that loss into a lesson, and you never actually lost. You actually just learned from an experience, and you're going to be better as a producer. And I think that my man Jared Lindsay would agree with you about saying, I'd much rather be in the field than be on the phones. That man called me one day and was like, dude, I don't think I want to dial my leads anymore. I'm just going to door knock them all. I'm like, well, call me in 3 months. We'll see if you want to keep doing that. But thank you for sharing that. Now, obviously people are like, man, like, how do you get people to pick up the phone? Like, are you using phone burner? Are you using any type of auto dialer when you're dialing this internet leads? Because I would say that majority of agents on this call are like, man, a lot of times I just can't get people to pick up the phone when I'm dialing this internet leads. So can you kind of elaborate on your dial pattern, if you're using any tools to speed up your dialing?
Actually, no, I don't use any tools. I literally, I have a second phone that I used in Wisconsin, just changes the area code, but I don't use phone burner or anything. I just manage my leads off of the CRM, go through them. I think what has helped for me, and a tip I can give to people though, is I go through all my leads. When I do pick a county, when I'm ordering my leads, I usually do stick to that county for a good amount of time, just in case I have like rewind, if I have a reschedule, just different things like that. So I will usually stick to a county for about 2 weeks. Obviously, if there's leads in it, but if not, I'll just go to one next to it and then so I can still run both. You know what I mean? So I think what has helped me though, is I'll go through all of my leads first. And I honestly don't spend a lot on leads either. I don't buy that many leads. I know some people do struggle on the phone, so maybe they do have to buy a little more, but I don't personally. And I just go through them all. I dial twice. If they don't answer, I just dial them again twice. And then I'll do that for every single one. Then I'll go back to my old leads from the dial day before on that specific county, and I'll dial those. And that has helped me so much. Like usually off of those leads from the day before or the dial day before, I'm able to book a good like 5 to 6 appointments on top of those just from people that didn't answer. And I think that has helped me save money too, because it's like, I feel like a lot of people waste a lot of leads. So that is my advice. And then after that, if you still don't have your appointments, go back to your ones from that day and dial those back again.
Love that. So are you going through the entire list? Do you break it down into like, subsections of leads, like by areas, or like, do you just go and power through the list? Or like, what's your approach to, like, let's say you have, like, what traditionally, like how many leads would you have on a dial day?
Probably about 100.
About 100 that you haven't dialed on the prior dial day?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll buy about 30 1 month, 35 new, and then like 40 instant or whatever like that. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So you have a variety of different types of leads as far as time frame. And then you typically have around 100 new leads you've never dialed on. And then what you do as well is you go back to the prior dial day stack of leads, and then you dial on those. And are you just going top to bottom, or do you do anything special, or what does that look like?
Nope, top to bottom.
Savage.
1 month.
Love it.
First. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So no phone burner, dials from top list down, and is having success. So everything works a little bit, guys. That's what I want you guys to really understand, is like, as long as you have an approach that is successful, you can run with your approach. And I think that what the power is just the repetition of you doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And when Summer says that, find the pitch that's for you, I'm assuming you're talking about your phone script and the structure that you have for it, right?
Right.
Okay. So I think everyone's always like, Summer, like, what is your phone script? Like, I know you have the magic words. If you helped 42 families last month, you have the magic words in the script. So if we can kind of just, if we can role play it, if you want to just run with it, you can. But I want everybody on this call to understand that you don't have some magic script. It's just you being you, and you've made it your own. And the key thing is that you found the structure or the pitch that has worked for you. So if you want to role play, we can role play. If you want to just do it yourself, you can do it yourself, whatever's easiest for you.
Yeah, we can role play. But also, before I start, what I wanted to say was my pitch, I think, dang, I lost my train of thought. I'll remember. Let's do it first. Okay. Hey, is this, am I role pitching you?
Yeah, Gage.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, is this Gage?
Yeah, who is this?
Hey, Gage, this is Summer. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm great. So the reason I was just giving you a call, Gage, was because I actually had received a form for final expense. Does that sound familiar at all to you?
No, I don't remember doing that.
No? Okay, awesome. So really what it's for is just like if something was to happen to you, it just helps cover the costs for burial expense coverage. My job, Gage, is just to give you this information just so you'll have it. Gage, I have here your date of birth, the 3/10/67. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. But I don't remember filling anything out.
Yeah, that's okay. Like I said, Gage, my job as an underwriter is just to give you this information so you'll have it. Right back to it, Gage. Just to confirm, is your address the 1-3 Main Street?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do, Gage, is just come out to you, lay eyes on you, make sure you're not 600 pounds, anything crazy like that. And Gage, are you currently working on disability or Social Security?
I'm working.
All right, cool. And what time tomorrow do you typically get off?
I'm usually off at like 5 or 6.
5 or 6? All right, cool. So what I'm going to do, Gage, since, you're not aware of usually the time, I'm going to go ahead and push it out 30 minutes prior to that. So about 6:30. Just to confirm, Gage, is that 123 Main Street? Is that a house?
Yeah, that's a house.
All right, cool. And what color is it?
It's blue.
Okay, blue. Awesome. So like I said, Gage, I'm going to go ahead and put you down for tomorrow at about 6:30 for that blue house. My name's Summer again. I'm a young girl with curly hair. You'll know it's me. And I will see you tomorrow, Gage, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, you have a blessed day.
So I two things that I think were very interesting is you asked me if it was me from the jump. Like, is this Gage? And it's a different approach than a lot of people probably on this call take. But what it does is it's like, yeah, like, how do you know me? And so that I think is actually psychologically really smart when you jump on the phones and you ask them if this is them. Now, some people I imagine Summer have gave you the runaround, like, no, that's not me. But what it does is it creates curiosity. And at the end of the day, curiosity is what we need to do in this business to really get our foot in the door. Because now I'm wondering, who is this lady on the other end of this phone and how does she know me? And then right after that, she asked me how my day is going. And a lot of people will tell you that they don't do that or they don't like doing that. Personally, I like doing it because it's going to get them to answer. Like, you're not like, who the hell are you or why are you calling me? You ask them if this was them and then how their day's going. It's a total different approach, but everything works a little bit. And obviously it's working for Summer if she helped 42 families last month. But the second thing is you were very just casual. It was super simple. It wasn't a whole lot of talking. And I think, like, when you keep it super simple, you could find a lot more success, where people are always putting things in their brain thinking like they need to explain or what we do or do this. And I'm glad that you shared that with this Summer, because it's a total different approach than I typically hear from most people. And you're doing better than I did in my second month. So I'm going to say that it's obvious that it works. And I think the key thing is what a lot of people do is they just change it up every single week. Like, oh, I'm going to try this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to give this a try. And that's where most people fail, is because you're trying to try this newest thing. Now, I'm not on here telling you guys all to change up your phone script and do exactly how Summer's doing it. But if you're not getting the desired results that you're looking for, then you probably need to change something up. But if you're having the success that you're looking for, don't change a thing. You got to keep putting in the reps. You got to keep getting stronger. So I thank you for sharing that, Summer. I do appreciate it. Now, obviously, to be able to help 42 families, you've obviously had to do something in the home or structured it in the home to really set yourself up for success. And in due fact, I guarantee it's because you have a high level of appointments. I mean, that always is the cure to high activity. But 42 families is still a lot of families in your second month. So if you can kind of just role play with us when you roll up to the house and kind of how that goes, so everybody on this call can understand, I imagine, how simple you actually keep it.
Right. So immediately I just build a connection with the client. I know a lot of people say, like, don't talk too much, get to the point, blah, blah, blah. But I think just going in the home, building a connection, knowing that they can trust me is helped me a lot. A lot of people deal with the whole, like, I'm not giving you my social, that thing. I really don't ever deal with that because they trust me. And I feel like I build that from the start. So when, I open the door, I'm like, hey, this is Summer you spoke with yesterday. They're usually, come on in. So then I just sit down and like, okay, so my first question is, do you currently have any life insurance at all in place? And, they're usually like, no. Or if they say yes, I'm like, okay, can we see what you currently have? Let me see if I can put you in a better position. Just genuinely showing that I care. And if they say no, I'm like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to sit down and I'm just going to find you something that is going to work for you specifically, for your family to get in place. So I usually give them an example too. So I'm like, if they're obviously like 60, 70, they can't do term. So I'm like, okay, so what I'm going to show you is some different whole life policies. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then we're going to go from there, and I'm going to give you the best option that will fit you specifically. So for example, here, if a whole life policy was 20,000 coverage, if you were to pass away tomorrow, that 20K coverage would pay out to your beneficiary in whole. What it's going to do is it's never going to go up in price. So what I recommend is you get it as soon as you can, as healthy as you can, because that is going to result in the price of things. And obviously, so you will have that coverage for your family. If you were to get in a car wreck, fall off your roof, any accident at all, what that's going to do is it's going to have the double already on it. So what that will do is, say you have a $20,000 policy, get in a car wreck, it'll pay out $40,000 to your beneficiary. Make sense? That's another thing I always say to them. Like, I just want to make sure they're constantly following me. Like, does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So then, it's never going to go up in price. It's going to build cash value in there over time. So what that looks like is, in the next 10 years or so, that $20,000 policy will be worth a little bit more than that. Just obviously putting everything on the line just to show them, explain it out to them so they understand it. And then I get on my iPad, obviously quote them for their health, ask them their age or health, if they smoke, all that good stuff. And then from there, I just quote them out, put it in front of them. And I'm just like, do any of these work specifically for you? Also, I think what helps me too is I ask them, what is their monthly income? If they're on disability, usually it's $800, $1,000 a month. So then I can't really give them a $200 policy a month. So that is, with those internet leads, I have had mostly, smaller policies. I wouldn't say small. I'm kind of getting better at writing bigger ones, but you know what I mean? So I think just showing them in the in-home what they can afford to. I went to a lady recently, and she said she had a policy with another insurance agent, and she only showed her like the highest value. And she was like, I can't afford this. But she told her she could, but she never laid out those 3 options for her to even see that there were other ones. So, I'm not going to do that. I'm always going to do what's best for the client, just so I don't end up with those cancellations after cancellation. So yeah, I think that's overall what helps me in the in-home. And then I'll just put it in front of them. They'll pick it. We'll go over the application with them. And I usually don't have any issues through the application because they already built that trust with them, and they already know exactly what I'm giving them.
So how, when you show the numbers and they're like, I don't know if any of these work for me, how do you overcome that and make it make sense for someone who looks at your options and they're like, I just don't know if any of these are going to make sense?
Right. So I'll be like, okay, so what doesn't look good to you? Is it too high? Are you confused about something? Just digging in to see exactly what I can do to help. And usually it's too expensive. I can't afford it. So then I'm like, okay, let's see what you can afford and what you can have in place. And what we can do is we can get something set up right now. My job just to see if I can get you approved. That's the only reason I'm here. So what we have to do is go through this application. Obviously, I do want something in place that you can afford. So what we'll do is get something you can afford today. And then if you can maybe afford a little bit more coverage in the future, we can go up from there. And then I'll just, quote them out again, $5,000 less than the lowest one. Say I did 30, 25, 20, I'll put them at 15 and be like, oh, does this work?
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. But what I think a lot of agents get hung up on is they show options and then they got their fingers crossed and hope that they say yes to one of them. But you're not. Are you ever worried or nervous about them saying none of these options work because you're confident in your ability to make it make sense? Or like, how does that work for you? Because I'm assuming out of your 42 families protected that there's a couple instances where they were like, I don't know if any of these make sense, or no, I'm not going to move forward. Like, I guess my question is, are you ever worried about that? Or are you confident enough in yourself that you'll still be able to figure out something that makes sense for them?
Both. You still always have those clients who are like, I can't do it. I can't even afford my, you know what I mean? Like, I can't even afford to put food on the table, much less pay for this. Like, I'm in debt, yada, yada, explain their whole life story to me. And I'm like, okay, I understand. Obviously, I do try to tell them as much as I can that this is important, but you can only do so much. So I Usually all I can say is I walk out of the house, and I've gotten better at this over time, obviously being in front of as many people as I have, but just knowing that I walked out knowing I did as much as I possibly could. I hate walking out of a house being like, dang, I should have said this. You know what I mean? So just knowing, I rather put the client in the best position possible than get a chargeback. But at the same time, if they can't afford anything, if they have no money, I mean, I really can't do anything about it, you know?
Yeah, of course. You're leaving it all on the table. Like, you're going to at least do your best to try to fight for that family and to protect them to the best of your ability. And now that leads me into, obviously, like, once they're approved, everything's good. How are you solidifying the sale or cementing the sale? Or is there anything particular that you do when you're, wrapping up, getting them to remember you're their agent for life? And anything specific that you try to do to prevent chargebacks? Because obviously everyone gets chargebacks.
Right. I just write down on a piece of paper my name, the company, and then the policy number, the effective date, the coverage amount. I sign my signature. I'm like, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. This is my number. This is the company you'll be through. This all applies to the policy that I went over with you. So for instance, you have that $10,000 coverage. It will be $63.56 a month, starting on May 5th, So just laying it out for them, all of that, and then being like, don't lose this. You're obviously going to get a big packet in the mail explaining all of this in the whenever your policy is approved. And then if you have any questions from there, please just feel free to give me a call.
Love it. Because I think that's a key part of this business. It's real simple to make a sale, but it's another skill set to keep the policies on the books and keep your persistency high. That's a whole nother art of this business that a lot of agents need to understand and know, that it's very simple to enroll somebody, but it determines how good of an agent you are as far as your persistency goes, because that's the extra work that you don't get compensated for, and the behind the scenes work that can allow an agent to be here a year from now, or allow an agent to be out of the business because their persistency is low and chargebacks get to them and they all get freaked out about that. Now, I'm assuming in 2 months and writing that many policies, you've experienced a couple chargebacks, right?
Yeah, recently it's kicking me in the face. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you just share, you're 21 years old, Summer, you're really young. How are you mentally I know it's challenging, but how are you mentally getting over chargebacks coming in, and how are you handling them, and what's your mindset towards them as you've experienced a couple of them already?
Yeah, I think that's really good that you touch base on that, because there is a lot of mental issues in the back end of things, like really through this company. But what keeps me going is, obviously, I talk to a lot of people on my team. Everyone in this business, and this is what a lot of people I think have to realize, everyone in this business has gone through exactly what you're going through. The people at the top in integrity, they went through worse than you're going through. This business, they explain all the time how they had nothing that we have now. The work spots, all they had was like Facebook leads worth $40 whatever dollars. So I think just knowing in the back of my mind that everyone goes through this, but that I'm not going to give up, that's what helps me. And I continuously work. I'm disciplined. I am going to get on the phone no matter what. So if I have a chargeback and I make a sale tomorrow, okay, like who cares? I feel like I'm just constantly, my chargebacks are never a lot of money because I'm just constantly working, you know what I mean? And not letting it get to me. So that's what's helped.
Yeah, no, I think you hit it on the head. Is as long as you're consistent, you don't really feel it. And I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. If you've not had $5,000 in chargebacks, you've not wrote a lot of insurance. because I think every top producer in Family First Life has had a 5,000 or more with one specific company. But it doesn't phase us because we know the next week or the next 2 days, we're going to go out there and eliminate and chisel it down or wipe it out in a day. And that's what's cool about this business is you may have 3,000 or 4,000 in chargebacks, and in one day you can wipe that slate clean, and now you've kept the money that you've actually earned. And I think that's the mental part of it, is understanding that you're getting a 0% interest-free loan from the insurance carrier. Where agents mess up is they think the full 9 months of that advancement is theirs, and then they go out and buy things they would never buy or do things that they've never done before, and then they're nervous because now all that money is gone and they don't have any money to put back in the leads. That's a huge pitfall. And I wanted to address that because everybody is gonna, when you're building, you're gonna have an agent do that. And if we can try to prevent our agents and future agents from doing that by telling them this is how it's going to work and this is probably going to happen to you, I think we get the belief level and the mental side of it, we get ahead of it, and it doesn't knock somebody out the business. Because guys, I've been doing this for almost 3 years. I've seen people come in, rip a bunch of business, and then they're gone 3 months later because they blew all their money, and now they're scared or they don't have any more money to buy leads. So I think a key thing I always try to tell people is have 2 different accounts. Have the account that all your deposits go into be your business account, and then just open another checkings. You don't need to get an LLC, or you don't need to do all these different things to make you an official business. Just go open up another checking account with whatever bank that you bank with, and typically you can move the money back and forth pretty easily through like an online app. And then now you're separating your personal money and your business money. Because where people mess up is it's one thing and they don't know what their business money is or what their personal money is. And that's what can really knock people out of this business, is not separating the two and understanding that you're a business owner and that it's up to you to manage your money. Because one thing that I do know, Summer, is when you got hired, they weren't like, hey, are you good at managing your money? Did anybody ask you that? No, nobody asked anybody that. And I think
he was like, get to, I don't remember if he said 20 or 30K as fast as you can. It's like, that's the key.
Yep.
So I reached that really early on, and I was able to, if you just work for a month, my savings account it's insane. Like,
yep. And that's what I think I'm assuming you said 20, because I think that's really the magic number, is 20,000, because that's when you got some cash flow. That's when you feel the deposits. That's when you see the zeros start to come together, and you get that real taste of it. Anything underneath that, you're really playing with fire. I think 15 in a month is minimum when you're full time. Anything less than that, I wouldn't consider you full time, because you're not working full time. And I say that with passion because Sean Mike told me that when I was very, very new, that if I was working 30 or 40 hours a week, I would be getting 20,000 in a month. But if I'm underneath that, then I'm not putting in 30 or 35 or 40 hours a week. And you have to be honest with yourself and understanding what is actually effective hours working and what is just wasteful time, and you're considering it work when it's actually not money making activities. But I just wanted to elaborate on that, Summer, because I think it's super important, and we thrive on transparency here at Enhanced Foundation. And I wanted you to touch base on it because you're fairly new, you're young, and you could have made the mistake of going and blowing all this money that you've earned. But can you give us a ballpark in these 2 or 3 months now that you've been here with us? How many appointments do you think you've booked, if you had a ballpark or if you know the number?
Oh, maybe I should know this number.
It's all right.
Gosh, I don't know. Like, this 300, does that even sound realistic? Yeah, maybe.
I mean, very much so. I mean, consistently on a weekly basis, how many appointments do you think that you have in a week?
I think 25 would be definitely average for sure. I mean, I've gotten better over time, so I think now it's more easy for me to book 15, but actually my first dial day I booked 15, but that was because I was literally on the phone on my floor till like 9 o'clock at night. It was the craziest thing, but I was so determined to like see what this business did. And I think that's what helped me grow so early, is I wanted to do whatever it took to be as successful as I could from the beginning to see if this actually even does work,
Yeah, very much so. And did you go to convention?
Yes.
And
that
so
was the first thing I went to. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you kind of just elaborate a bit on the impact that had at attending an event, and what did it do for your conviction to get started in this business?
Yeah, convention had a big impact on me. I always say that. I think was so important that I went, because I honestly wasn't going to go. I remember Nathan asked me like last minute, he's like, want to come? I was like, I don't think I can. Like, I just got back from vacation. I have to work, but I just went. And just building that relationship with your team, number one, is very important. And then just listening to people that have done this and have succeeded in this, and then just taking their advice and just putting it to action. Being in front of a lot of people who have grown in this business, have been through every single obstacle you have been in, but have still made it to the top. That's always inspiring to me and has kept me going.
I love that. And I appreciate you sharing that. And you're absolutely right. When I got started with Family First Life, there was no leads in the CRM. I was putting in 2 to 3 Facebook orders a week to stay afloat. And I was doing it at my apartment because there was no local office in Dallas at the time. And understanding, and I think that you understand it pretty well, Summer, that we had to go through the hard times to make your life a lot easier and to make your life or your career a lot quicker of a start. Because I'm telling you, I don't think I helped over 40 families in a month, probably until like month 9 or 10 in this business. And the fact that you've done it within 60 days of you being here is very, very impressive. So pat yourself on the back, because you're way ahead of where I was at when I got started. And Brian's absolutely correct. Internet leads have changed our business. It gives us the ability to buy leads at the tip of our fingers at any time, anywhere in the United States. And that's what's really cool. But I really do appreciate your time, Summer. And everybody on this call, if you could please drop a SB in the chat if you learned anything valuable from Summer today, it'd be greatly appreciated. But if you have any last parting words for the enhancers today, Summer, the floor is yours. If not, we do appreciate your time.
Yeah, I really appreciate you, and thank you for having me on. If anyone, has any questions, we're a big family, so you can always reach out to me, and I'll leave my number in here. But I think just continue working and you'll get there. If you have any tips, questions, like I said, always reach out.
I appreciate that big time. Well, guys, obviously today is dial day. Today is Thursday. Today is the Monday of our new week. We're all back to zero. And I know Summer's not confused. She may be dialing until 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I think that's the difference between somebody who's struggling and somebody who's having success, is the time and energy that they're putting into this business. And that's really just the difference. Like the people that you see at top of these leaderboards and putting up these bigger numbers, they're just working more than you. I love Willis, but there's nothing too special about Willis other than his work ethic. He has the best work ethic than anybody I've ever seen, but he's not so insanely more talented than you. He's not insanely more better at words. He's convicted. He's lived through it. He has a story to tell the families that he meets with, and he has a lot of freaking appointments, and he spends a lot of money on leads. And that's really just the difference between you helping 10 or 20 or you helping 30 or 40 in a month, is the amount of money that you spend on leads and the amount of time that you put into this business. So thank you, Summer. We do value your time. This will be put up onto our YouTube channel. I'm going to